Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our April 13th Kriya Yoga Sunday service. Let's take a moment to turn off all of our phones and our distractions. And let's do a centering meditation before we get started. So sitting up straight with your attention turned within, give your awareness to your body and begin by feeling the breath as it moves through the body. Observing the sensation of the rise and fall of the chest. Observing the heartbeat, if you can feel it, at the bottom of the exhale. It's giving yourself permission to turn your senses inward by feeling the field of the body. From the breath and the heartbeat, you can move your awareness to the palms of the hands, sensing the temperature, the pressure, the feeling, any sensation in the palms of the hands. And bringing your awareness down to the soles of the feet, feeling the temperature, the pressure, the ability for the nervous system to feel deeply into the soles of the feet and into the toes. We're taking this time to direct our attention away from the thoughts within the mind and to observe the real time, present moment experience within the field of the body, the field of the elements. And with each exhalation, you remain sitting upright, but you let the whole experience of the field of your being feel as though it is relaxing. As if your body is becoming soft and spacious, comfortable, free in space. But you are still upright and strong. We'll have another meditation at the end of our discussion today. But before we get into the talk, which will be on the experience of making spiritual progress, how to know if you're actually doing that or not, and some misconceptions about that will clear up. Remain focused on the body, feeling the body. And as you listen, try to remain present in the body as though you are listening with the whole body. You're remaining centered in the field of experience within the body. Okay, let's get started. So today we're going to talk about the idea of making spiritual progress. It's something that comes up a lot, and I think there's also a lot of confusion around it that we can clear up. Spiritual progress occurs when you become more knowledgeable, clear, and present. So usually we don't necessarily recognize the spiritual progress we're making until a few years down the line, or if we have a family member or a friend who knows us and has observed our changes, oftentimes they're the first people to notice whether we are actually making some spiritual progress. The reason I wanted to bring this up was because I've had a few interactions with students over these last few weeks, um, where they were concerned about if they were making spiritual progress or if they were making progress on their path. And the concern dealt with the fact that they were still having problems, physical problems, or um, other difficulties in relationships. And I remember in Mr. Davis's book, Absolute Knowledge, he said something like, it's a precarious situation to try to live based on the ever-changing experiences of life, to define yourself by the ever-changing experiences of life. It's a precarious situation to do that. And that's not an exact quote. He said it much more clearly. But that stuck with me. And it reminded me of this experience that students are having. We have to remember that spiritual growth and the spiritual process is an internal process. It is within us. The things that we experience in our life externally, that is the result of our karma, our collective karma. Is also the result of the interplay of these cosmic forces called gunas. Some of you are familiar with that. In yogic philosophy, there's this idea of these three powers, these three primordial powers. Sattva, which deals with light, clarity, buoyancy, wisdom. Rajas, which is agitation, passion, defining oneself as an I, as an individual. And tamas, which is often defined as inertia, dullness, and confusion. It's related to sleep and heaviness. Well, these three cosmic powers, they create all of this experience that we're having. Just like the three primary colors, they create all the colors that we see. And there's a lot of different colors that we can see. Well, what we are experiencing right now through our eyes and through our senses is the creation, the interplay of all of these cosmic forces. And that's always going on. And Rajas and Tamas, which creates confusion, passion, drive, attachment, and aversion, the reason we exist in this world, the reason we are able to have a body and interact with other people is because in one way or another, we are defined by or caught up in this interplay of Rajas and Tamas. That's why sometimes things go well. Sometimes we feel great. Sometimes we feel heavy and dull and tired. Sometimes we feel enthusiastic. If you pay attention to your life, even if you're in perfect health, you're going to find that there is these alternating waves of experience that come and go. And that is what goes on in the physical world, in this life experience. But the spiritual path is about turning inward and cultivating sattva, cultivating light and clarity. And that is inward. And sattva is very hard to grasp and perceive because essentially it is perception itself. It is the ability to observe and to recognize that as things come in and go out, that you are the witness, that you are the seer. Sattva helps you to experience that. And that's the purpose of our spiritual life. So when we practice meditation, when we practice hatha yoga, when we apply Ayurveda, when we do all of these things, what we're really trying to do, or what we really are doing, is cultivating more sattva in our life. So we have more clarity, so we have more wisdom, so we have more light, and we have more capacity to perceive and be alive in the present moment. And when you do that, oftentimes a lot of problems in your life do resolve because you're not perpetuating Rajas and Tamas. But as long as we are embodied and as long as we are alive and able to interact with a physical form, Rajas and Tamas is going to be there. So we have to learn to ride those waves and not get so caught up in them. And the problem that we have is that there's a lot of spiritual literature out there And there's a lot of people who promote this idea that if you are spiritually aware and clear, that everything will be perfect, that everything will work out, that you'll have no problems ever. And if that were the case, well, then Jesus wouldn't have been crucified, would he? I mean, if you talk about someone who had a major problem, I think that's a big problem, but that was also part of his path. So when we look at this idea of our spiritual growth, you can't really define it by what's happening physically. In the same way that if you were running like a cross country course, or if you're running a race where you had a lot of obstacles and things, coming up against an obstacle doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're moving forward on the race. So you know that you're making spiritual progress if you keep going. If you acknowledge, learn how to resolve or deal with the obstacle, or just endure it while it's there, but you keep going. So the way that you know that you're making spiritual progress is this. If you've learned what it means to live a yogic lifestyle, meditating daily, regularly, for the purpose of becoming more in touch with sattva, with your seer nature, with your spirit, if you know that that's what you need to do and you do it every day, and you also know that you have to live in certain ways that promote more sattva in your life, such as eating a light and healthy diet. That helps to promote sattva. By learning that practicing ahimsa, harmlessness, truthfulness, that these things create more light in your field, and that by doing that, that is part of your spiritual path. Now, we're not going to go into all of these things because there's plenty of books and classes on this. But once you've been informed about what the process is, then you keep doing it. Do you stop doing it if you get a cold? No, you keep doing it. Do you stop doing it if all of a sudden your relationships fall apart? No, that's just the interplay of Rajas and Tamas in this world. And you see, well, things fall apart and you keep moving forward. If you have a very serious health issue, do you stop? No, you don't. You might have to adjust a few things because you might not be as able or capable of doing some of the processes, but you keep in mind your purpose and your direction for spiritual awakening, and you keep moving forward. So you can usually judge how well you are doing by how consistent are you, despite what comes your way. How do you keep moving forward? How do you keep adjusting? How do you keep staying true to what you know is an enlightening and enlivening, uplifting spiritual path? By doing that, then you know you're making progress. Sometimes when people come on retreats, every now and then they'll say, well, I participated in a Kriya Yoga retreat a little while back, and it was wonderful while I did it. But after that, my life seemed to fall apart. Or I began practicing meditation very intensively, and I became very disturbed and agitated. And that means you're actually doing well and making progress. Now, you have to be careful, because just like anything else, you don't want to push yourself so hard and so far so fast that you break up in the process. Meaning, if you're exercising, you don't push yourself so hard that you injure yourself and then you can't exercise anymore. So you have to be mindful of what happens when you begin practicing things spiritually. But what happens for many people is that as they begin to grow, they see things clearly. And if you've been in a difficult relationship and all of a sudden you start to get a little light in your awareness, you get a little light in your heart, and you start to recognize this relationship actually is kind of difficult, hard, like very heavy, very rajasic. It's actually painful. Well, there's some options there. You might have to face the fact that you need to pull away from that relationship, or you might have to change how you have boundaries in that relationship. But it's not because problems are coming your way because you're practicing a spiritual path. It's that you're getting more light and you're seeing things more clearly. And this is one of the primary reasons why most people stop making progress on the spiritual path. And Mr. Davis talked about this too. He would say one of the biggest issues is that people become aware of what they need to do to change and to grow and to become lighter, and they don't make the changes. They're not inspired to face the facts of their life, right? So it's very important to remember that when it comes to spiritual growth, it's hard. And, I've said this before, I'll say it again. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're trying to sell you something. Spiritual growth is hard. It takes effort. It takes drive. It is very enjoyable once you get the hang of it, but it's enjoyable in the same way that, I've talked about my sister a lot, who's an avid sports. She's very sporty. I'm not the sporty one. She's very sporty. And so whenever she gets involved in a sport, she challenges herself. She takes on more than she can chew. If someone beats her, yeah, she gets angry and throws a fit for a bit, but then she uses that as motivation to get back to training and to get better at it. So you have to look at the spiritual path just like any other area of life, where you have to make sacrifices and you have to grow and you have to want it. That's the other thing. When you know people who are driven to accomplish a certain purpose, the obstacles that come their way, they don't really faze them. They admit them. They see that they're difficult, but they know that that's just part of the path of getting stronger, of getting better, of getting clear, of becoming, again, better at what they're doing. Well, we don't want to get egotistical with our spiritual path. This is not an egotistical thing, but we do have to be very clear on the fact that challenges are going to come our way. That doesn't mean that we're failing. That either means that we're becoming clearer, we're becoming wiser, we're seeing things in a way we haven't seen before. And so we're being called to change and to grow. Or it may just be that you're existing in a world where there's seasons changing, storms coming and going, sometimes beautiful days, sometimes dark and cold days. That's just the nature of being in this experience. So we have to learn to accept that and continue moving forward, which means we continue meditating every day, whether things are going well or not. We continue being truthful, whether things are going well or not. We continue practicing contentment. That's a big one, isn't it? We continue practicing contentment, whether things are going well or not. That is the true mark, I feel. That is the true mark of whether someone is making progress and is firmly on the spiritual path. If they can continue to practice the yamas and niyamas, no matter what. If they can continue to meditate or stay focused inwardly, no matter what. If they can hold that, no matter what is going on in their life, that is a person who is making great spiritual progress. And we also have to consider something else about this. And this is a hard one, so I'm going to do my best to describe it. But I've only contemplated it myself and I haven't really talked about it a whole lot, so I don't know how good I'll be at it. We often want to think that we can turn this world into a joyous, brilliant spiritual experience in all ways. And that is not the nature of this world. The nature of this world is Rajas and Tamas. It is the change, the fluctuation, the heaviness, so that we can have experience, which is fine. But spirit is within. All these authentic yogic spiritual traditions, when you get to the heart of it, sort of the raw, bare bones of it, what do they say? Quit feeding the senses. Quit trying to define yourself by things outside of you. Well, to try to make your world a perfect expression of light and love and joy all the time, you are still looking outwards and trying to change the things outside of you. And the yogic texts and the yogic teachers say, no, go within. Feel deeply within. And that is hard because there's a lot of stuff in this world that we're attached to, all of us. And this is what makes the spiritual path very difficult, because we're asked to go within, which requires, when we get to the heart of it, an extreme letting go of everything that is without. Now, it doesn't mean that you behave inappropriately, while you are still interacting with the world, you continue to do your best as you know how. But you begin letting go step by step of all the things that you wish were perfect. And anytime there's something in your life that isn't perfect, you can spend a lot of time trying to perfect it. You can, and maybe you'll get good at some things. Or if it's not perfect and you consistently struggle with it, maybe it's an indication that you need to let go of attachment to it. You need to quit worrying about it. You can maintain it if it's, for example, the health of your body and so on. But to get so caught up in this idea of perfection of the body, you're just going to make yourself miserable. And one of my healing teachers from a long time ago, when I was interested in energetic healing, these kinds of things, one thing he always said was, oftentimes the biggest problem with our health and our well-being, the thing that makes it the biggest problem is the fact that we make it into a problem. Rather than just being more neutral to it and just dealing with it however we need to, we fixate on how it shouldn't be this way. And it's in the how it shouldn't be this way that we create more attachment, more aversion, more difficulty, more strain and struggle. And so from his perspective, he would say, if you have a problem, just don't worry about it. Do what you need to do to maintain it, but find out psychologically why you are so troubled by the fact that you have it. And if you can resolve that psychological snag, that psychological sort of trigger that gets you about why is this so problematic, then you tend to become free from it. But anyway, back to the point. So we have to look within. And spiritually speaking, when we meditate, if you really want to meditate well, I mean, really well, forget about creative visualization, forget about imagining the world being perfect. If you really want to meditate well, to access that state of ananda or bliss, the only way you're ever going to access that is if you learn how to completely let go of everything that you experience, letting go of the thoughts, letting go of your attachments, letting go of the things that you think are so important, even letting go of your body. Now, you need to keep your body upright still. You need to be strong enough to stay upright. But you need to learn to practice deepen meditation one by one, letting go of everything. You know, there's that practice called neti neti, not this, not this. Well, in that practice, you sit there and anything that arises, you say, not this. Like, that's not me. That's not what I am. That's not my spiritual nature. Something else comes up, not this. A memory, not this. A pain in the body, not this. You do it with all of it. And each time you let go, eventually there's no more things that are not this. And all that's left is what you are, which is indescribable, and it is inside. And you have to go inside to find it. You have to go to spirit. Spirit doesn't come to you. Okay. Whether you agree with that or not, I would encourage you to take some time to reflect on that. Think about gurus and spiritual teachers. The real guru, you have to go to the guru. The guru doesn't come to you. When you realize that, you start practicing, you start learning and growing, because it's like if you're all caught up in trouble and you're in this field of trouble and you have this other person, the guru, who is clear and light, well, you have to go to the light. You have to go there. To imagine or believe that every guru is supposed to come into the darkness and light it up, to everyone's darkness and light it up. Well, I know many people think that that's the way it should be, but that's not been my experience. And I found this to be true in meditation as well. Something else you can consider with your meditation process. Rather than asking God or the divine to come to you, you go to God or the divine. And this is how I've incorporated this, because it's hard to get your mind around. But you can approach it in a way such that when you're meditating, you know, if you're having difficulty and you're still really struggling with it, rather than asking God to come into the difficulty, or even if you're just wanting greater spiritual growth, you just want to have a clearer state of consciousness, rather than saying, God, come into my heart, or the divine mother, come into my heart or into my being, what you can do is, as you feel the heart, you can, in your mind, say, I bring my heart to you. when you feel the mind and you feel all the thoughts, you can say, I bring my thoughts to you. I bring this body to you. And meaning, and the you is the divine, yourself, God, however you relate to that. And when you start doing that, it's easier to feel changes within your experience, because in the whole principle of creation, we have the light, which is the seer, and it emanates through Prakriti down, over on this other side into the elements, the rocks, the water, your relationships, your car, all that stuff. But there's like a spectrum from subtle, the light, all the way down to as dense as it gets. Well, what we're doing spiritually is we're learning to move our awareness back up through the subtler levels until we reach the experience of light and clarity. But we have to go from where we are to the light. We have to go there, right? We've already chosen to come here into this dense world of form where we have relationships and we can bleed if we get cut and the bodies die and these kinds of things. We've already come there. We've already made the choice to go in that direction. And now the spiritual path is learning to say, all right, let's go the other way. And we have that is what free will is, right? We want to know what free will is all about. Well, free will isn't, can I pick up this coffee cup or not? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I was predestined to do that. Who knows? It doesn't matter. No need to get involved in all of that. But our free will is in every moment. In every moment, can we choose to move, to bring ourselves back to as a little bit closer to the subtle field of divinity as possible? And even if every moment all we do is move a millimeter or a hundredth of a millimeter in that direction, well, every moment, eventually we will get closer and we will get closer. And as our life progresses, our life, how far we get with this physical body will persist through time. And so again, we have to, in every moment, whether we're living, whether we're dying, whether we're laughing, whether we're crying, whatever, whether we're driving down the road mindlessly, in every moment, we can choose to say, I bring this moment to you. So it's been my experience that you will make much more progress. You will have much more clarity if you quit begging divinity to show up in this world of Rajas and Tamas. It's there, but it's Rajas and Tamas, which is change and transformation and frustration and striving. Quit trying to bring it here and instead bring yourself back to that state of clarity and peace and light, and keep going, keep bringing everything to it, every moment to it. And when you do that, you will start to notice that you are actually abiding in the present more. You will notice that you are actually able to feel a sense of lightness and buoyancy, even when you're being crucified. You will notice that you feel that you're always in a type of communion with the divine field, whether you've got a cold or whether you're running out on the trail, having a good time, you always feel that. Remember, again, we talked about this last time. The yogi is meant to endure pleasure and pain while seeking knowledge. Well, the seeking knowledge is simply bringing oneself back closer to the light. And how you do that is by constantly practicing what you've been taught, your Kriya techniques, your meditation techniques daily, the yamas and niyamas, taking care of the body, eating your vegetables, being kind to others, avoiding difficult situations, letting people have their own drama, minding your own business. And you do that all the time. You do that every day. And you keep giving everything. You keep offering what you're experiencing to God or the divine. You're saying, I'm bringing this closer to you, not you come to me. And I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. I'll try to break it down a little bit more and then we'll move on to the meditation. But when you know someone who is a good, upstanding citizen and they're supportive, they support their culture, they pay their taxes, they take care of others, they work hard, so they have extra cash to maybe donate to good causes or they volunteer their time, they're a good, upstanding citizen. Well, they have a particular kind of energy or quality about them. And that quality you can benefit from it. But in order for you to benefit from it, you have to get within its field. You have to make it aware of you, right? Or you have to let it realize that you are willing to grow and to also support that field of clarity that it represents. It's really a terrible example, but I think you understand what I mean. And the same thing is true with spirit. Everything exists as it is, but we choose which field do we want to exist in. And that is the purpose of our lives, is to moment by moment choose that field, to resonate with that field, right? And again, it's this idea, I feel it's more important to bring yourself to it rather than to beg it to come to you. Now, keep in mind that there are many different kinds of paths to this process. And for some, maybe the whole begging thing works. It didn't work for me. So I can't speak about it with any experience. But what I have found that worked is me, my own life, bringing my own life to this field of light by deciding that there are certain people, there are certain teachers that embody what I want to know. For example, Roy did come and visit us once, and that was when my late wife was dying. Well, that was a different situation. But every other time, did he come up to me? Did he come and visit me personally? No, I went to him. Did he reach out to me? No, I reached out to him, and that was fine. And that made a lot of sense to me. And I feel that that is an important thing to remember, that we need to bring ourselves, we need to bring our lives, we need to bring our minds, we need to bring our emotions to the divine, right? Because it's always there. We have to just use our own inner free will to do it. And once we do that, we do start to find that we are freer inside and that we can abide in that field and we can be that field of light. So, with this idea of spiritual progress, you might need to re-listen to this a few times, but I wouldn't necessarily judge it based on what is or what isn't happening in your life. Because again, we all have certain experiences that we have to have. But the spiritual progress is really based on how are you internally when things happen? Are you still maintaining the course? Are you still focusing on what you've been taught? Or you getting frustrated, say, well, this doesn't work, so I'm quitting. Well, if you're going to do that, you're not going to make any spiritual progress. The other day I was meditating, and I don't know why this came into my mind, but this phrase came into my mind, and that was that the greatest service receives no reward. The greatest service receives no reward. And our spiritual life is service. And that's a heavy little statement there. And I hope you spend some time reflecting on it, because I think if you do, it can really open some things up for you and really reveal to you what your own motivations might be and how you feel deep down inside about that. But our spiritual path is the highest service that we can give. And if we're wanting some kind of reward for it, it's not really a spiritual path, is it? So anyway, let's meditate. And we'll try to incorporate these ideas that we've brought up today. This will be a very different kind of meditation than we usually do. But I want to help instill this process. So begin by sitting up straight and closing your eyes. Feeling the body deeply. And this is really going to be a meditation of becoming the observer of your current experience. So we'll start by feeling the body deeply. Just notice first how your body feels when you feel it. Notice how the torso and the chest and the belly feel. as you breathe. And there's nothing you're supposed to feel here. You're just looking. Notice how the clothing feels on your skin. If you can feel your heartbeat, notice how the pulse feels either in your chest or maybe you feel it in your hands or somewhere else in your body. Notice your eyes and your forehead. Many people, when they meditate, they get all scrunched up there. They're trying too hard. Just notice that. What do you feel in your face? And make a little judgment. Observe overall, how does your body feel? If it doesn't feel good, that's okay. Just say, well, I could feel better. If it feels good, if it feels neutral, just take a moment to acknowledge how the body feels and give an honest self assessment without an emotional trigger. Where does your body feel good? Where does it feel difficult? Acknowledge it, feel it, look at it. And let that go for a moment. We need to shift gears. We need to think about, contemplate. If you could feel divinity right now, if it was in the room with you, what would that feel like? Or how do you relate to divinity? Is it nature? Is it divine mother? Is it the Christ consciousness? Is it the presence of Shiva? Just for you, acknowledge, remember, think about if this awesome, illuminating, radiant power of divinity was in the same room with you, what would that be like? And now feel the body again, just as you did before, sensing its weight, its warmth, the breath, the movement of clothing on your skin, your aches and pains, or your feeling good. And with sincerity in your mind and in your heart, say, I bring this body to you. And the to you is the divine field. And say that as often as you need to. I bring this body to you. I give this body to you. You don't need to come to me. I bring this body to you. And if you can imagine, what would that feel like if your body actually moved to that field, that space, that radiance, that clarity, where the divine is easy to feel, where the divine exists, obviously. I bring this body and all the feelings that this body holds to you. And then direct your attention to your heart. And by that, I mean first feel the chest. Just notice how the musculature, how the ribs, how the shoulder blades feel physically, the area around the heart. Observe it. Explore the feelings, the physical feelings. And then feel more deeply into the heart. And by that, I mean, how have you been feeling lately emotionally? Have you been feeling good and light? Have you had some anxiety or depression or stress? Again, not to be overcome by it, but just acknowledge it. Let it admit the truth of it and feel it within your heart, the field of your heart. How have you been feeling? And with each exhalation, allow yourself to feel it more deeply, honor it more deeply, whatever it is. If you've been worried about something or happy and anticipating something, feel it. And remember that field of divinity, that experience of the divine as it is real to you. And again, as though your heart is moving into that field, say, I bring this heart to you. I bring this heart into the depth of your light and your being as it is. And feel the heart as though, however it feels, it is being given to, offered, brought to this radiant field of divinity. You don't have to change it, you just have to give it. What would your heart feel like, no matter the strain or joy that it naturally has right now, if you brought it into, walked it towards the light of divinity. And letting go of that, bring your awareness to inside of your skull, where you can imagine your mind, your thoughts to be. You can feel deep within the skull, deep within the head. You know, how are you feeling mentally? Or how have you been feeling mentally? Calm and collected, erratic? Just look at it. Don't change it, accept it, honor it. What have you been thinking about, worrying about, looking forward to? And how does that make your head feel physically when you recognize this? And then once again, remembering that field of divinity, that feeling of divine presence. Feel the mind, feel the thoughts, and say, I bring my mind to you. I bring these thoughts to you. And feel as though you're walking towards a radiant light or a presence of divinity as it's real to you. You're leaving behind where you were and you're choosing to move closer. I offer the state of my mind to you, exactly how it is. And notice how the feeling within your skull, feel the physical feeling within your skull. Does it change as you move closer in your mind to this divinity, as you bring yourself, your mental self, to the divine? And let that go. And simply feel the space around your body and through your body, as though you can feel the atmosphere on your skin. You can hear the sounds within the room. It's like you're becoming aware of just the space and what is within the space around you. What do you hear? What do you sense around you? What else do you hear and sense? Look a little more deeply, feel a little more deeply, listen. And then once again, remembering that field of the divine, the spirit, acknowledge I offer this space. I offer the space around me to you. I bring it to you, as if just in that thought you move the ether, the space around you closer to the divine. And from there, just imagine the situations of your life right now. Maybe you're having good things happen. Maybe it's pretty neutral and bland. Maybe there's an exciting thing happening. Just whatever is the general quality of the experiences in your life right now. You can even say, I bring this life, the experiences of this life to you, closer to you. And just notice how it's like your field opens up. There's a joy, almost like coming home to someone that you love dearly, and they're just so happy to see you, all by choosing to bring these aspects of yourself closer to the radiant field of divinity. And on your own, you can go through the phases of this practice, taking as much time as you want. Just be sure that you stay awake while you do it and you're actually feeling it. You can do this regularly, and I think you'll find it to be of benefit. Let's take a moment to chant Om 3 times to conclude this meditation. Peace. Okay. So this is a wonderful practice that you can do regularly at any time, really. And I have recorded this, so this will be available on the Kriya Yoga Online YouTube channel under, I think, the live playlist. So you can go back and you can play through this. I think it'll be very helpful for you. I'm pretty sure it'll be very helpful for you. Because oftentimes, if you think about it, we're like children. And I don't know if you've had to interact with children, but even adult children, they have an idea of how they think things should be. And they want their family to help them, but they want to be helped in the way they think is best. And if a family is stable and healthy, and if a family is helpful, well, you need to go to the family and benefit from its light, its clarity, its support, rather than you being the child stuck in the ways that you think is right, which clearly isn't working, because if it was, your life would be perfectly fine. Rather than trying to force the family to do what you think is right, go to the family and listen, right? And spiritually speaking, I think this is a very important thing, because we often have a sense that God or the divine should come down and do what we think needs to be done. And again, if what we thought needs to be done was accurate and correct, we wouldn't have the problems that we do. But if we do have access to a source which is clear and supportive and knowledgeable, what we need to do is let go of our ego and bring ourselves back to that source and find out, how can that source support us? What does it know? What wisdom does it have that we need to change and shift our consciousness so that we can also experience that light and clarity that it embodies? So that's what this whole practice is really about. It's kind of letting go of our ego, letting go of what we think is the important thing, and trying to reconnect with that state of clarity, sattva, divinity, and light and wisdom, and bring ourselves closer to that so that we can learn from it, so that we can learn to resonate in the same way with it. And that's really spirituality in a nutshell. That's what we're aiming to do. And as soon as we get over ourselves, the easier it'll be. And I think if you explore the lives of saints and sages in many traditions, and most traditions, there's this sense of surrender. And in that surrender is a complete surrender. It is a giving up of oneself to a higher ideal. And we know in Yoga Sutras and in the practice of Kriya Yoga, one of the final most important stages is Ishvara Pranidhana, devotion to the divine, attunement to the divine. And so everything that we do, if we can look at it as a way of more attuning ourselves to the divine, the better. We use our Kriya Yoga techniques to calm our mind, to still our nervous system, so that we can go inward and feel that and learn from it and tap into it. And then when we open our eyes and we come back out into life, we live according to the yamas and niyamas and live according to what we've learned, live according to what we've realized in that inner process. So go back and practice the meditation that we went over. Do it a few times. Do it for a full week. Do it for a full month, and see how it affects your experience. Do it every day for a full month. And let me know how it goes. You can post the comments in the YouTube video. All right. So coming up, we have the Kriya Yoga Q&A for Kriya Yoga Online Ashram students, as well as Kriya Yoga Apprenticeship students and Patreon members here in about 2 minutes. So I'm going to pop off here to organize the questions that have been sent to me. Coming up, we have the Kriya Yoga Alliance meeting April 20th. At 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 11 a.m., not 9, 11 a.m. with Ray Booker. You can go to KriyaYogaAlliance.com and scroll down halfway through to find the Zoom link there. Otherwise, we also have our retreat in May in Encinitas, California. So if you're not signed up for that and you would like to, you're welcome to join us. May 6th, 7th, and 8th. And you can find that information at KriyaYogaOnline.com. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully the weather is nice where you are. You can get outside a little bit, and I'll see you soon. Take care.